Hello everyone and welcome back to another devlog. You might have noticed that for the past 6 months I've been all over the place. I've started small side projects here and there and not worked a whole lot on my main games. And while I've surely learned a lot during this period, in retrospect I seem to be going in no clear direction. So this needs to change. I'll give myself 2 weeks to get back on track. In these 2 weeks I will try to finish and publish Boomer Simulator so that after that's done I can go back to the Gladiators update before continuing work on Bouncy Basketball 2. I've already taken care of the main menu and added buttons for music and sound, so now I just need to create a few additional terrain pieces so I can start to make some more interesting levels. Usually when I model things I never add faces to the parts of the model that won't be seen, but with these new terrain pieces I think I'm gonna make some of the levels reach behind the garage, so that's why I'm filling it in here. Now, I've started working on the first level here and I'm not really feeling that confident in being able to quickly make a ton of these, seeing as I have no experience whatsoever with level designs, but I figured I should just try to use common sense. So for this level there's this narrow path with a tree as a point of interest in the distance. You will inevitably mow the grass on the way there and new players might also not be able to steer clear of the tree, so there's the added benefit of teaching them about obstacles, although that should be obvious to most people. I think all in all the game's pretty easy to understand, so the main problem is gonna be to make the levels fun and not feel repetitive. In the second level we introduced the zoomer and I place him at the beginning so that it's hard to avoid hitting him, since I'm not sure whether or not people will actually realizing that's something they should be doing.
Great success.
And finally for the third level I want to have the boomer juice power up in a place where it's also hard to avoid. And yeah, I know what this looks like, but I'm already running out of level ideas, so it just had to be done. Anyway, with these 3 gameplay features introduced I should be able to ramp up the difficulty of the next few levels. I'm aiming for 12 levels in total for the final release. It's not a lot, but I think it's enough to keep people occupied for a while and enough for me to gauge whether or not the game is worth investing more time in. Having high scores and leaderboards is probably the most basic longevity plan for a mobile game there is, but in this case I think it can actually be pretty fun to beat your own or someone else's high score, since some of the levels won't have an obvious optimal path to follow. These open arena levels will require you to think a bit more about the order in which you mow the grass, whereas the close track racing levels are more about making turns with precision. I'll order the levels in a way that these 2 different map types will come one after another and hopefully break up the monotony that would otherwise occur. I've taken care of the ad implementation as well now, and the way I like to do ads in my games is I make a timer that tracks how long the player has actively been playing the game. Then when there's a break in the game I show an ad if the timer is above the ad threshold. After every ad shown I increase the threshold, meaning that the more you play the less ads you get. I think this is fair, but in Bouncy Basketball 2, which is a more ambitious project, I'll definitely have a remove ads in-app purchase. For various reasons I just didn't implement it in any of my games yet. So I've only managed to make 6 levels so far because it's a lot more work than I thought, but I'm gonna move on to making the game icon first. Game icons in general should be simple and readable, but I think it's useful to look at a competition to understand what your specific game's icon will be contrasted against when players discover it. I was considering a vector art representation of something in the game as an icon, but I think a good contrast here could simply be the old school graphics. So I just get the first person view from the game with the character holding up the boomer juice against a posterized gradient, so we don't clutter up the image with too many things going on in the background. I'll check to see how it looks on the store in a few different spots just to make sure that it doesn't look completely terrible. With that done, what's left for me to do next week is to make the last half of the levels, implement leaderboards and create the trailer and screenshots for the stores. So thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video. Bye bye.